Disclaimer: LEGO owns all clips used in this video. However, I am in no way profiting or making any form of money off of this video. Copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. The Ninjago community is in need of more analysis videos. Lately, I've been watching videos such as why Thanos was a perfectly written villain and why Thanos deserved to win. Inspired by those videos, I've decided to make a video on why Emperor Garmadon is the perfect Ninjago villain. This video will be organized by different points that I am going to elaborate on to explain my claim. But before we start, let me explain what I think makes a good villain. A good villain needs to be as important to the plot as a hero is. They need to have strong motives that can justify what they are doing. They shouldn't be 100% ruthless and evil, and there's got to be some emotion down there. There's got to be more depth to the character rather than just a faceless evil. Now that I've explained this, we'll start off with my first point. Garmadon shows a variety of different character traits. He is shown throughout the entirety of Season 9 to be ruthless and pure evil, but there are also other emotions down there too. He shows fear in episode 90, expressing his concerns about the Oni invasion. He also shows hesitance in episode 89 when he hesitates to kill Lloyd. He mourns for Harumi when she is killed in episode 92. And lastly, as a result of that, he goes insane and becomes furious in the following episodes, using the Colossus to physically destroy the city. A baddie who is 100% evil may look cool on screen, but they have zero depth at all. They may be intimidating, but deep down, is there really anything special about their character? This is, in my opinion, the case with villains such as Snoke from Star Wars or The Hands of Time. With Garmadon, however, the variety of emotions and traits that he displays is proof that he develops over the course of the story. And that brings us into my next point. Garmadon grows and changes significantly during Season 9. He has as big of a role as the protagonists, which leads to a lot more development, and in this case, it is definitely a good thing. He starts off the season as the zombie we saw in Season 8, a boring but scary figure with no actual character depth. After killing Mr. E, we begin to take him more seriously, and when he starts expressing his fears in episode 90, it becomes clear that he has changed significantly. Heck, throughout the season his voice even changes. It starts off the season very deep, but then gets back to the normal Garmy by the end of the season. He learns to use his power throughout the season. By the end of the season, he even accepts defeat, but not before dropping a final cryptic warning. This allows the viewer to follow his story, while also making his transformation into a key story of the season. This change is a product of having more screen time and more development, which allows the writers to really flesh out his character. All in all, it's a big role for Garmadon. Those who gain power are afraid to lose it. Garmadon has a complex rise to and fall from power. Villains in places of power should. We need to see that the villain reaches their goal, and how they eventually get overthrown. We really need to see that how. With Garmadon's rise to power, most of it is really done by the Sons of Garmadon. They sow the seeds for his rebirth, which happens, and with his power they easily take Ninjago. However, it is his fall from power that is far more intriguing. The end really does begin in episode 92. During the final 3 episodes of Hunted, the Sons of Garmadon fall apart, one by one. Killua and Ultraviolet lose their masks and are defeated in episodes 92 and 93. Harumi dies in episode 92, and eventually only Garmadon is left by the beginning of episode 94. He is isolated and all alone. The loss of his child, Harumi, drives him into a brief period of insanity, and then Garmadon is too overconfident, which ensures his fall from power after literally losing his destruction powers. This is such a complex story, and it's so cool to follow each part of it. Garmadon achieves victories and suffers losses. His first major victory is, of course, actually taking Ninjago. He learns how to use his powers and maintains control over Ninjago, but what makes his character awesome is that he suffers many losses too. He watches in anguish as the building collapses, taking Harumi with it. He loses his powers and eventually loses it all, to the point where he asks Lloyd to finish it. He's not an overpowered villain. His character is perfectly balanced, as all things should be. He wins, but at the end of the day, he too is blocked by obstacles. Even the most powerful have to overcome challenges. Garmadon has complex relationships with both protagonists and antagonists, and some of the most complex relationships in the TV series. Being an original character and the original villain, some of Garmadon's relationships are there from the start, mainly that with his son, Lloyd. But the tension is created in seasons 8 and 9. Lloyd had a happy time with Sensei Garmadon, but as the reborn form of his father destroys all happy memories, Lloyd is forced to fight his father again. Similarly, Garmadon needs to find out what to think of his son, and this leads to some cool choices for his character. He spares Lloyd's life in both episodes 89 and 94, which sets up Garmadon's identity crisis in season 10. His central conflict with Lloyd and the decisions he is forced to make creates tension and adds meaning, But aside from that, there is only one person who Emperor Garmadon cares about, Harumi. This again shows how Garmadon changes, from nearly killing her in episode 88 to soon becoming her adoptive father. This single relationship that Garmadon has is so cool to watch. My two favorite Ninjago villains on screen together, but it also makes it all the more important when Harumi dies. He loses the only person he loved, leading to a spiral down into insanity. His relationships add tension and meaning to the story. Garmadon is the hero and the villain at the same time. I know, Garmadon is a villain, but the good villains like Thanos and Harumi see themselves as the hero. Every villain is the hero of their own story, and this isn't word for word true with Garmadon, but it is true in another way. Garmadon has one main motive up until episode 90, to control Ninjago. But why? Episode 90 reveals this, and that Garmadon actually wants to keep the Oni away to prevent them from destroying everything. At this point, his motives are now to become stronger to keep the Oni away, and to still keep Ninjago under his control. Let us say that we were to take the Oni prevention motive out of context. On its own, without any other knowledge, doesn't that sound like the motive of the hero? But it's really how these two motives are connected. Garmadon keeps Ninjago under control in order to battle the darkness. On the outside, his efforts are purely evil, but on the inside, he does it for a good reason. However, it's the way he does it that is done in an evil way, as he kills Misaki and kills Mr. E. His motives are so complex in this way, which highlights the brilliant writing. Garmadon builds on another character and is also there from the very beginning. Emperor Garmadon is the third form of Garmadon's character, and this form brilliantly takes aspects from his past two forms and improves them. There's also some fan service here too, as they actually give him powers this time around, make him completely evil, so there's a lot less hesitation, and he will not hesitate to kill Lloyd, at least in the beginning, and they actually have him win. His goal had always been to take over Ninjago, and he fails miserably in the first two seasons, but he actually succeeds now. But at the same time, he still maintains the charm the original form had. That iconic evil villain laugh is still there. Garmadon is also the original villain too. With that, we already have a lot of development for him, and we've seen him before. Being there from the beginning also allowed relationships with the ninja to be set up too, and of course with Lloyd and Wu, and when Garmadon is back, those relationships are really highlighted and made into stories. He is ruthless and unforgiving. I know I mentioned earlier that a villain needs emotion and cannot be 100% pure evil, but they still need to be intimidating and scary too. Garmadon's character nails this in a way no other Ninjago villain does. After one mistake compared to many victories, Mr. E is right away executed, and he is torn into literal pieces right in front of his allies just to scare them. He then chokes Harumi, telling her that he doesn't care that she was the one who revived him. He mocks her and says, "Not you, my princess," and establishes that there will be zero mistakes. There is no tolerance for mistakes, and any mistake will be punished immediately with death. Although Garmadon loses this ruthlessness as the season progresses, he is still intimidating and scary throughout. And now that we're nearing the end of the video, I want to share with you some of my favorite quotes from Garmadon in Season 9. And this will again just hopefully go to show how intimidating and how complex of a villain Garmadon really is. The first stage in his transformation is the evil, ruthless destructor. A fine machine, but fine isn't good enough. I love how he actually acknowledges that Mr. E is a good machine, but he actually ends up saying that Mr. E isn't good enough for him. This continues when he says, "Then I will offer you a swift consequence." The use of the word swift is awesome in this sentence, implying that he will not hesitate to punish and is very quick to judge. And then after that, the next step is a brief identity crisis, questioning who he is and why he's hesitating. "My child, you've given me life, stand and face your new father." I love the parallel between Harumi actually encouraging Garmadon or giving him life in a way, and her actually bringing Garmadon back, literally. Next up, we have the madman. "I do not flee, I control." This is the stage where Garmadon kind of spirals into insanity a bit, and is losing control over the city, but uses drastic means to try and keep it under his control. And our last stage, people don't change, they only reveal who they truly are. The irony is so present in this sentence. Garmadon is literally a character who was reformed, and at the same time, this quote is just so chilling. Season 9 was amazing for me, and Emperor Garmadon is my favorite villain, and as well characters of the entire series. While his rebirth may have ruined his sacrifice, it improved Lord Garmadon and built on that old character. His character is so complex in Season 9, and that complexity and his questioning of who he is does continue into Season 10 too. I've also done an analysis on Garmadon in Season 10, and if you want to check it out, you can head over to the analyses and video essays playlist, which I have just created, on my channel page if you want to check it out. He truly is masterfully written in both of these seasons, and I cannot wait to see how and if his story concludes in the future. This is Daily Warlord signing off.